So that ended.
So that's over. Yeah,
That's over.
that's done. Good morning, everybody.
Well, hello. Yes, so we are the Vagabonders. I was going to pull up the thing we were going to talk about here in a second. So yeah, we are Vagabond Nerds. As you can tell, we are one nerd less. That's only because he's still in the drunk tank. He hasn't made bail yet. But like I said, Ray will be back next time. So we're gonna
wait. So did he told you he was in the drunk tank? I thought it was I thought it was the unfortunate zoo incident, and he still hadn't gotten out of the hospital yet.
Well, okay. Well, so here's the problem. I wasn't going to tell them that part of it.
Oh, crap. All right. I didn't mean to. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Ray.
Yeah. Okay. So
anyway, we'll gloss over that. Let's just move on.
Yeah, we're moving on.
We're moving on from that.
I wish I was eating chips and salsa. That's my favorite thing in the world.
Good morning, Kim.
Yeah, and good morning to you, Ms. Ferrens. Kim to Kim if you're nasty.
What? I don't. Okay. No, Jason. No. You're not. Don't do that.
Anyway,
give us a proper introduction, sir.
Yeah, unfortunately, ANX No Ray is we're saying drunk tank. We're just saying not bail. That's the cover story.
We only learned this morning, sir. So this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so proper introduction.
Introduce. Yes, please.
Hi. No, I'm done. I'm out. It's the Vagabond. It's another Saturday, so it's Vagabond Nerds. I'm here with Sean. Raymond is off somewhere doing God knows what with God knows whom. And but we're going to talk some Loki and some.
How about we say who our sponsor is?
I'm going to get
everybody.
I'm going to get to it. First of all, there's 3 people who watch us. They all know who we are. I'm going to get to Titan. There's method to my madness, sir. Loki, Black Widow, which were inspired by comics, which you can go buy at Titan Comics. Who is powering us today? Heaven only knows why. But go visit Jeremy. He's got the comics from which these stories were pulled. He has the statues and other geeky accoutrements that one would want. After seeing these remarkable, amazing works of art that transcend all of humanity.
I'm not sure about the full transcending all of humanity. They are very good though. They're very good. I'll give you that. Transcending humanity might be
well, if you don't the problem is if you don't praise these movies as if they were the greatest thing to have ever occurred in the history of mankind, then someone's going to yell at you for being a troll. It's like we can't have nuance anymore. There's no nuance. Everything's either the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of ever, or it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of ever. Get on board.
Jason, it seems like you may have a segue into something here. Want to get something off your chest about Black Widow or Loki or anything up front?
Not necessarily. It's really not them. It's not them specifically. It's just I kind of miss the day when you have a nuanced opinion on things, right? You could say, hey, it's a decent, like there's good things about a movie, and there's some things I didn't like about the movie. Overall, the movie was here, or it was here, or these things don't really detract from the film. Or, hey, how about the fact that it's a popcorn film? I want to put my brain to the side. I don't necessarily want to be thinking about a movie this hard. Like you can't have an opinion.
Is this the hold on, I think I know what this is called. The middle ground? Is that like
middle ground?
Somewhere in the middle of things where you kind of be like, I liked it for this reason, not so much this reason, but overall this thing, blah blah blah. Right? Is that that fabled middle ground that doesn't exist anymore? Is that what you're
rationality?
Trying to say?
Yeah, rationality. Yeah.
No. Rationalities. Don't draw from the dictionary of Perez, all right, where you use words that don't actually mean what you're trying to convey. All right, I get what you're saying. So I haven't really heard too much about, like, I haven't been paying attention to any of the random BS that people have been posting about these poor reviews about Black Widow and that kind of thing. And for what was his name? Steven Dorff. For God's sake,
yeah.
It was like one of the first things I saw the day before Black Widow came out or was released, or whatever the case may be. And so Steven Dorff was like, "I'm sad for Hansen having to have been in this movie." And I thought, Steven Dorff, you don't get to be sad for people for being in bad movies. You're Steven Dorff.
I had the exact same thought.
And I like Steven Dorff. That's the kicker of this, is that I enjoy Steven Dorff as an actor. Like, he's been in a lot of good. I'm sorry, not good movies, but a lot of movies that I enjoy. I mean, for God's sakes, his role in Blade was great. Like, I've loved his role in Blade. And then he next to the Marshala, whatever. I'm not even attempt to pronounce his last name. Who is actually, oddly enough, looking to be the next Blade.
Yeah.
Steven Dorff and him were in the 3rd season of True Detective, and that was a fantastic season. Second season, much better the second time you watch it. First time you watch it was kind of a hard sell after the first season, which was so good.
I get you.
But still, like, Steven Dorff does.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Sean? See, this is why we need Ray, so I can converse with him when Sean's frozen.
Oh, there we go. All right, now we're back.
There we go. Yay! Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Yeah, we're good. You're active.
Okay, cool. So, so I don't understand why he said that, and I don't even want to bother touching on it anymore as far as what he said. But do you know what's going on with all the random negativity? Like, have you been paying attention to any of it? Do you even know what it's about? I don't know anything about it.
So here's the thing, right? And this kind of ties into what we're seeing with the new He-Man show, which I don't even care about. I'm not a He-Man fan, so I honestly don't care. But so here's the thing. What I've noticed is, like, the critics will come out with a review. Oh, is he frozen again? He's frozen again. Sean, I believe in you. Let it go. Let it go. All right. Well, we'll just keep going. I don't even care about He-Man, but it's with Black Widow. And again, I've been busy, but I saw it. I'm like, I'm done with all this. It's this idea that if you have an opinion on a Marvel film and it's not the greatest thing ever, you're anti something, you hate something, you're the most evil thing in the world for just having an opinion about a movie by not praising it to its hilt. I think now we lost Sean. So, okay. My whole point here is pretty simple. I think we can have an honest opinion about things. I think we can say, yes, there are strengths to a movie, there's weaknesses to a movie, and then just have an honest opinion about it. And it shouldn't get you crucified for having that opinion. That's it. Like, that's all. I think everything's got to be ratcheted up to 11. This idea that somehow these movies are the most important thing in the world. I'm sorry, it's entertainment. You're supposed to shut off your mind and just have a good time. Speaking of a good time, Sean's back.
That's going to be one of those days, man. It's so going to be one of those days. Damn it. I'm watching the bars on my Wi-Fi connection. Just go all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. I just shut off my phone so it's not connecting anymore.
So actually, your bars, your Wi-Fi connection is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's no middle ground. There's no it's either great or it's nothing. And I'm like, can't we just have an honest discussion and say where there's, like, these were high points, these were low points, and this is why the movie's here or here. Not everything has to be the greatest thing ever. Not everything has to be the worst thing ever. That's all I'm saying.
I'm actually one step past the Irish coffee at this point. I have moved on. I've moved on to the Old Bastard.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
No, Sean's always full Irish. He's not even Irish morning.
And I have to. It's an Old Bastard because I don't know how to make an old fashioned, so I just do my best.
And that's all we ask, Sean. That's all we ask.
All right. So what is the deal with people being upset about this? I don't understand.
I think it's honestly just as people have lost their damn minds, and I think we just value entertainment too much. Like, okay, so let me rephrase it. I think there's a lot of people who make money off of rage crap.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's it. That's it. I think it's just, and so the problem is everyone's angry and screaming. I'm like, dude, it's a movie about a chick who can fall from 150 feet, bounce off 12 things, and walk away. Like, I'm sorry, are we trying to pretend that a prequel about a chick who jumped off of a plant, you sacrificed herself on a planet in the end of the universe because a ghost of a war criminal asked her to do that so she could get more bling for the world's most bedazzled glove ever?
I don't think people are upset. And Kim, it's my version of an old-fashioned. Again, I'm terrible at making them, so I just made it up. I do my best. Mm-hmm. Again, it's bastardized, so that's the old bastard. Yeah. I don't think they're upset about continuity or content, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they're legitimate. Yeah. So the only thing I know for certain, and what I've heard, is there's movie theaters. What was the headline? The other headline I saw was blaming Disney Plus's decision to release it both. Yeah. And so, I mean, I know that movie theaters are pissed about some sort of problem with the fact that it tanked on the second week or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. People aren't maybe going to the theaters quite so much. I mean, and if you have the ability to watch it on Disney Plus, and even then, you still have to pay for it? It wasn't free. Like, we had to pay for it. It's just Disney got their money, and now the movie theaters aren't making their buck off of it.
Yeah.
I understand that being a bit of a. I mean, yeah. As a
that's legitimate, though. I would argue that's legitimate.
So I'm going to say, as a movie theater, of course, it's leaving a bad taste in your mouth. But I don't get, like, I'm also hearing a bunch of other bad stuff about people saying the movie was just bad, and I don't understand that. I enjoyed every moment of the movie. I thought it was well done from start to finish. I thought it had great characters. It did the family aspect as much as Dom loves family, right? So it had the family aspect to it. And I mean, it had a little bit of a twist, a little bit of, in there with the whole swapping and the Mission Impossible piece with the whole face stuff. Like, it was good. I really enjoyed it. And I mean, Florence, do you say her last name is Pugh or Poe, or I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, okay, I've never heard her pronounce it. Let me say it that way.
Yeah, I've never heard her pronounce it either. So that damn family meme. Yeah, it really has, Kim, but it's great though. I still think it's good. It's just like she stole just about every scene she was.
Oh, absolutely.
Next to what's
the other guy's name? Part of the whole movie.
Yeah, is it David?
Harbour? You know what? Since I should probably just pull up my. Is he frozen again?
He was. There he is. No, I'm back. It's fine. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, he was the second person to kind of like steal some good scenes, right? I think he was a great cast, great choice. Yeah, great choice for that role.
And Karen says it is pronounced Pew.
It is pronounced Pew. Okay, cool. Pew pew.
So, I had the same thought. I'm like, now that's all I'm every time I see her now, I'm just gonna hear pew pew.
Yeah. And then, the little not Easter eggs, but the behind the scenes stuff afterwards, finding out that Florence was making fun of the pose, you know what I mean? Yeah. And making that joke, and then it making its way into the movie. It's good. I mean, I don't understand how people are not how. I do understand how, because people suck. I don't understand exactly what the gripe is. That's what bothers me. I don't understand the gripe. I really don't.
Well, that's where you and I share this thing we call rationality. I think again, my complaint is 2 points. Is like, I think you're thinking too hard about the damn film.
Hey, Daniel, what's up, man?
Hey, Dan. And secondly, It's it just we've made this stuff matter, and it shouldn't matter. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, I had a great time with the film. I like the film. I don't think it's the best Marvel movie. It's certainly not the worst. It's towards, I would say, it's like towards the upper of the middle range, right? And I can say, and I have my reasons why I would put it that, like, it should be higher, but I have some reasons why it's lower. But like, that's a reasonable expectation. I don't see why that can't be a valid opinion. My complaint is just that people lost their damn minds. It's the 21st. It's 2021.
I also don't even want to go so far as to say we need to put it in a, you need to put it in a ranking. Like, you don't need to say it's right in the middle or it's the worst or whatever. It's just, you liked it or you didn't. I think part of the problem is our insatiable need to qualify, quantify, put everything in a box and rate it and stick a name to it.
Right.
Jason, are your feet okay? I hear them. Are they barking? Your dog's barking today?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've been working out a little more, and so I need to get some new shoes.
Don, I think the worst Marvel movie is subjective, right? It's whatever you think was the worst one. I really don't think, because I think we all have slightly different tastes and different opinions. I think that's probably
criteria.
Well, yeah, and criteria, because what strikes you as the good movie? What strikes you as the worst movie? It's just it's subjective. It's really based on whatever you think is the best or the worst. I mean, if I don't know that I'd quantify anyone that I think is the worst. The one I probably don't like the most, I would say, or the one I care for the least, is going to be either one of the first two Hulks. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, I think people don't even remember those that much or even quantify them that much as far as putting them in the scope of things. But either one of those, I'm just kind of like, meh, don't really care about it. You know what I mean? Dark World.
Yeah. So, I think everyone sort of agrees on that one. But like, I'm even like, just say, I don't even care like which one's the top or which one's the, like, I'll even say, look, I think Endgame as a film is pretty bad, but as an experience, I love it. Like, that's my favorite.
Yeah,
that's my favorite because it's the climax that they do. I think there's a point where it's like, hey, all these films are kind of, because they're so intertwined, we kind of have to change how we even view them. But moving on, let's actually talk about the Black Widow. That's a very
good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so let's talk about Black Widow. Because actually, I'm done. I just want to say I'm just sick and tired of this bullshit where we just take this stuff too seriously. So let's talk about Black Widow. Did you like? You said you liked the film, right?
Fair warning first, though, because I see Daniel's comment.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, we are going to talk a bit about it. So I mean, if you don't want us to spoil it for you, I hate to say you should drop and listen to us later. But if you don't mind, we're going to talk about a few things. I don't think we should give away the ending, right? But I mean, I mean, she lives.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that or not. It's a backstory, like you said. So she lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kim. Sorry, that sucks. I hate when that happens.
Yeah. And Sean's frozen again. I think I wonder if I can change his name to Elsa. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, I can edit his name. Oh, I can. This is going to happen. Let's see if it pops up. Oh, it didn't. Okay, well, whatever. Sean, going once, going twice. While we wait for Sean, I saw
there we go.
You're back.
There we go. So tired of this shit. So tired of this shit today. So tired of this shit. All right. Yeah. So moving on. Yeah. I liked it. Yes. To start with our formulaic reviews of the shit we watch. Yeah. I liked it. I dug the movie from start to finish. I loved seeing the widows. That was great. Like, we've never seen this before, and I mean, we've known all along that, Black Widow was a part of this whole, sort of Tread-esque, mind controlling sort of super soldier conditioning experiment. And Oh man, and just the intro, starting in the 80s, back where it did, just and seeing them when they were kids and the whole thing unfold. I don't know if there's any fans of The Americans on this show, but that show, The Americans, that's what that felt like. Again, that had this really cool.
Thank you.
This had this really cool spy sort of Cold War feeling to it, and I mean, it was really good. It was really good. I really did enjoy that aspect of it. I think I think it was a solid film. I don't really have any main gripes about it. I was really happy to see, kind of a closure to everything. For her story, for Black Widow's story. I think that was great. And I love the fact that it in its own way almost sets up Florence Pugh for another role, right? It continues a possibility of her, but without it being, hopefully, without it being a, oh, good God, what is it? Without it being a direct sequel, right? I still want this to be like standalone-ish sort of film, if and when she comes around. Or maybe just have her in, as a character in another film where there's a small team of folks that are being, I mean, obviously they're setting up this whole Dark Avengers bit. So, that's I hope it will be good anyways. So, but yeah, it was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from a great time. It was a good popcorn movie. Just chill out. Watch the film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm right. So I agree with you 100% on that. It's a good film. Yeah. It's fun. Pugh steals every scene that she's in is amazing. She's the highlight of the film outside of David Harbour. I completely agree with you. That scene about the vest is probably the best in the film, where she's talking about the vest with all the pockets. And he's frozen again. That is actually my favorite part. It just seemed like such a human moment, and their interactions feel real. So I agree. It's a fun movie. I had a good time. I really liked, like you said, the stuff that felt like it was from The Americans or the spy stuff. I actually would have preferred to lean heavier into the spy aspect of it rather than necessarily the superhero aspects of it, I guess. Like David Harbour putting on the suit doesn't bother. I love that. I love them putting on the suits at the end. I just think they could have leaned more into the spy aspect of it rather than the superhero aspect of it. But yeah, it's a fun film, and he's gone. Well, while we wait for him to come back, right? So while we wait for him to come back, I think it was there was a question earlier about, Donald Welch, will Alien Legion ever become a film? No, that's not going to happen. At least not from the Epic series. And ANX mentioned something about Mortal Kombat. I'm going to say, hold on. I said I enjoyed Mortal Kombat. I never said it was great. I actually prefer the cartoon better. If you haven't seen the cartoon one they did just like last year for Mortal Kombat, go watch that. I think they actually did Mortal Kombat better. But yeah, no, I like the film. I thought it was good. I thought the story was tight. I wish they had leaned actually a little more into the family. This is my only complaint about the film, is I think it suffers from the same problem that Thor Ragnarok had, which is that hold on. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
This is absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Well, all right, Jason, what did I miss?
Oh, nothing, but just me agreeing with you, basically. But I was coming to an interesting, sort of like the next point. The only thing I wish they had actually leaned more into the family. My only real complaint is it has the same problem that, as I said before, happened with Thor Ragnarok, which is they step on the emotional aspects of it. Like,
what do you mean they step on the emotional aspects of it? Explain that.
So there are key moments, like you said. This felt like the opening feels very much like The Americans, right? which again, love that show. Can Carrie Russell do anything wrong? I think not. But but you have it's like there are moments where if they had just leaned into it a little bit more, if they hadn't necessarily tried to go for some of the jokes, it would have. I think it would have carried a little bit more weight. The problem is they kept it just a little too light, where they could have leaned into it a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. It's a minor critique.
Okay.
I think they pushed too hard on David Harbour being the comedic relief. He could have, if they had toned him down a little bit, right, allowed him to actually act a little bit more and actually have some real emotions, it would have synced up. Because really, the scene between him and really Pugh in that room, that should have carried way more weight than it did. I think the thing that we're sort of lacking in this is that they've sort of disconnect David because David Harbour we see at the beginning of the film is not only a badass, he's someone who genuinely cares for these girls.
Well, but he does, but he doesn't because he can't because he's an agent. So it's a complicated situation. Exactly,
but that's the whole point. Is by the time we get to him again, it's like they take all the sympathy out of him a little bit, and they just make him. They go full asshole with him. Whereas,
they go full caricature of a diehard Russian Soviet, sympathizer, soldier, patriot, whatever you want to call him, right? And they lean into that really hard. And I see where you're going with it. That makes sense. I mean, having explained that a bit now, I understand where you're coming from. And you're right. You're right. I do think that they went a little heavy-handed on that. But I do have to disagree. I feel like as far as the scene with him and Pugh, with Harbour and Pugh in that room, and I mean, yeah, sure, there's a couple of moments where it's joking. But the moment where he starts singing that song.
Oh, absolutely.
That very moment. I mean, I didn't expect it. And I think that's what I liked so much about it was, it's one little thing in the moment of, more Joss Whedon. It's just one little, probably, I think that's, Daniel, I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah.
It was one thing in the beginning of that film, right, where you see them singing to put on my favorite song. But I mean, it was great because it was a tiny little mention, and really, what I thought of it more at the moment, and my wife said the same thing. She was like, "This will be the day that I die." Really foreshadowing a little bit, And
even the idea of Bye Bye American Pie, like the idea was like they were.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Thing was fake.
That's what I'm saying. The whole thing was fake, and it was like a really the song was fitting for the moment, but I just thought its placement was going to be at that one spot. I didn't having as much of the emotional impact as it did later down the line, and I thought they did that really well.
No, sure. I think they did that well as well. Just I think if they hadn't pushed so hard to comedy before that scene has more weight. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I understand. Yep. No, I get it. I get it. But so I mean, outside of that, I mean, did you see it at home, or did you go in the theater to watch it?
No, I saw it in the theater.
You saw it in the theater?
Yeah, I want to go out, actually do the popcorn, do the whole 9 yards.
What was the experience like? How was it?
It was fun. Like I said, actually getting out there, doing the popcorn thing. Like I said, I liked it. I enjoyed the film. Like I said, it's these little things that keep it from being like actually one of the top tier films. Like I think it's, it just pushes it down a little bit. But I thought it was fun. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. Like the fact, like my wife was, when she makes that fall, she bounces off of 12 things. My wife was like, "That bitch is dead." It was like there were just some things where I'm like, okay, they probably should have not done that. But it's like I liked it was a fun movie. Like that's my thing. It's a fun movie. I think unfortunately it makes the same mistakes that Thor Ragnarok did, where it steps on the emotional parts. Because my thing is, if you want to make somebody laugh, make them cry first.
I didn't have any problem with Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was exactly what it needed to be to lighten up, after they swung so heavy-handed with Dark World.
Well, I just felt like it was an overcorrection. I think you could do. I'm just saying. I think they could have done Thor Ragnarok. You could have done the exact same movie, but if they just don't step on a few of the emotional points as hard as they do, I think it just makes it a little bit better. The problem is, it's like everything gets pulled to the middle instead of having highs and lows. You become that Gen X. Everything's sort of the same. If there's no Simpsons reference, then it's not. Then it's not the Vacuum about nerds.
If you're concerned about humor getting in the way of any type of real emotion, I fear for your feelings on Love and Thunder. I really do. I don't think Love and Thunder is going to be that serious at all. Get Help was priceless. Yes, exactly.
It was
exactly.
So
I don't know. I thought it was a great. I thought it was just a great palate cleanser as far as the placement of that movie. And
yeah, I would agree.
And it was so nice to see something that wasn't just Thor being too heavy-handed and too serious about himself. You know what I mean? So.
You're talking about Ragnarok. No, I agree with that. Like I said, I like. It's actually one of my favorite.
It's one of my favorites. Yep, it's one of my favorites.
I think again these little critiques on how to make it better, but that's all.
Yeah.
Let's go back to
Black Widow. Yeah, to Black Widow. The one thing I gotta say, and I mean, I'm still. This is my little tiny bugs the crap out of me thing. And everybody's got one, and this is the thing that bugs me, and I think it's kind of the same thing your wife had said, which is like, that bitch is dead. When she jumps out of the plane, or when she jumps off the platform, so to speak, and she's falling through all of these, pointing out Superior. All right, easy, Genesis, easy. We can point out, hey, listen, I like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's an awful movie. I could still point out, in like little points of other films, but still, like this one, when she's doing that, it's that stupid over the top bit that I don't appreciate. And she's falling through the air, and she's like skidding down a plate in the sky, and she's like the physics are completely removed from everything at this point in the storyline, or in the movie, I should say. It's just physics are out the window, much like she was, right? Just gone, just falling out the window through the sky. No actually, she may have had a parachute. I think she did, because she had a parachute.
Yeah.
And I get why they did it, because it was a very superhero moment, and it was, it was impressive, and it was very cool. But it was just like, lived by accident. Jesus, I'm not dead yet. Yeah,
I'm not dead yet.
Jesus, Kim, that would be awful. She's just down there going, yeah, that was horrible. Plus, what's Hawkeye gonna do now? He's got to get the stone, right? No one's there to help. So that took me out of it when she was falling through the sky and like jumping off of other pieces that are falling through the sky with that regards to weight and physics. It just, for some reason, I was like, all right, come on, here we go. And I think it's stupid, because I probably wouldn't have batted an eye if it was the Hulk, or if it was, some other type of superpowered, actual, or Thor for that, anybody, like for some reason, seeing the human do that is what bothered me. It's the fact that it's a human doing it. And I was like, no, if it were a super soldier, or if it were, Red Guardian, anybody else, if it was Gamora, I would have believed it.
Right.
But it just being a human going through it, I was like, come on, man. So I don't know.
Right. Well, so to your point, this goes back to the idea of I just forgot the word. It's
suspension of disbelief is what I have a problem with.
Right. When you do something that's just, like when you set up the rules of the game and then you radically change them, or you don't abide by them, you break the, like we are coming here with the idea that there are super soldiers who can do amazing things. She is set up to be not a super soldier. She's part of the audience's connection to the story
by being a regular human like Hawkeye. Same sort of situation.
Exactly. So when you have her doing these things, you've sort of violated the trust that you get. So it takes you out of it, right?
Violated the trust.
You violated the trust
that we have. Strong wording, sir. Very strong wording.
Yeah. But what it does is it breaks the suspension of disbelief, right? That's all it is.
It does.
Because now you're like,
well, that bugs me.
You're like, well, hell, if she can do this, then why isn't she doing this all? It cheapens it for, yes. Like when you turn off your brain. What is your thing about MK, dude? Like, I don't even think we said it was a great film. We said it was fun. Like
we like both. Like I dig this one and I dug the other one. Like I was fine for either. I'm still turning my brain off for both. And I mean, if we're talking about continuity here, I would say Mortal Kombat has a different set of rules. It does. It just does. Mortal Kombat is supposed to be that cheesy BS that Mortal Kombat is. Marvel has gone a different route. Marvel has set its own rules. They've set something different. They've set it up to be more Nolan-esque as far as rules go, with reality, in regards to these being superheroes living within a world that we all recognize, right? Closer to the rules of physics, closer to the rules of reality. Mortal Kombat is, again, that's just like watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That is watching Critters. That is a
whoa. Don't put Critters in the same. Critters was brilliant.
Critters was in that same bag. It had to. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
It's like watching Child's Play. It's like watching Chucky. And I mean, I know I'm throwing a bunch of horror films out there because, I mean, technically, Mortal Kombat is a horror genre series, in a way. You know, I mean, it's like it's a kung fu horror genre, but still, exactly. Kim, they have way more human gravity, except for when people are jumping out of planes and bouncing off of different objects in the sky, like
which case gravity does not apply. Well,
right, exactly.
And hold on, we've spent almost 40 minutes in one way or another talking about Black Widow. We spent like 10 minutes talking about Mortal Kombat.
That's true. Mortal Kombat was a quick little. Anyways, not to equate the two. I honestly think Genesis, they have different rules.
Oh, Ray, they finally gave you your one phone call?
I'm sorry, Ray who?
Yeah. No. His name is Raymond
Perez?
Perez?
Whatever, man. Welcome to the show, Raymond. Yeah. Good to have you. Always nice to have a fan.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
First time.
But yeah, it doesn't I'm saying don't bash Marvel for breaking rules that you don't follow yourself. Again, I think the rules are set up differently I really do. I think because I mean, like, I wouldn't say Indiana Jones is going to follow the same rules that Marvel's going to follow. I wouldn't say Mortal Kombat's going to follow the same rules that I don't know. Let's just go with Fast and the Furious, for God's sakes. Dude, rules are different in every single universe, and I think that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it, and I recognize that everything's held to a different standard. Everything's held to a different comparison as far as what does or doesn't suspend your disbelief in that film. So I don't. I still think I think Black Widow was good. I had no problem with it. I think it was fine. I think it was a great film to watch. I think it was. I mean, I think it should be considered, inspirational for, a group of younger girls who don't get to see themselves represented in, comics and Marvel cinema as much as they should. I think that's another part of that. So, no, I think it was fantastic. What If trailer. Did we? Yes, Kim. Yes, we did. We did cover the What If trailer last time. We actually did. That's fantastic.
My two last thoughts on Black
Widow on the BW, on the
BW before we get on to Loki. I didn't mind Taskmaster being a completely different character. I don't care. I thought it was fine. I think they could have done it. I think it being who it was. Yeah. It being who it is, was never a problem for me. I would have liked to have seen them play the character slightly differently. Again, emotional impact kind of a thing, but that's all.
Yeah.
Like I said, but it's like I didn't write it. Just saying, I would have done a little bit differently to pull the impact, but I don't care. But I am glad that finally, after all these years, I mean years of waiting for this, we finally get to find out where the vest from that Black Widow from Endgame wore.
Years.
I mean,
waiting for
like
this.
that was like Listen, that. I mean, there were times when I would be like in the middle of the night, like, where the hell she get that kick-ass vest?
All right. Listen, it was a touching moment between siblings.
It was.
I thought it was a great nod to a tie-in. I definitely think it. Well, actually, I don't know. Knowing Marvel and the way they set a lot of shit up, it may have been planned the entire time. But I also kind of feel like it might have just been a quick little, Yeah. Yes.
I think it was.
So hold on. Something about that. I saw on Facebook at one point in time, scrolling through whatever it was, and it was one of those, those dumb. What are those stupid, like they look like old 1940s, 1930s, 1950s like cards where it's like the demotivational cards, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't always drink in the morning, but when I do, you know what I mean? It's those stupid things. I saw one of those at one point, and it said it was something kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to do it justice, but it was rest assured, anytime a woman gets a dress with pockets, she will tell you about it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've seen the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, I will say, I showed it to my wife, and she said that's absolutely true. And I thought it was funny because she does it to me all the time, which is like, look, this skirt's got pockets, and I'm just like, yeah, good for you. So, I thought it was funny that the vest, she's like, it's got pockets for everything. Look, you can put pockets.
Oh, it's my favorite scene in the entire movie.
I love that. Yeah,
it's the best scene. Because it feels like it's I think you were offline when I was talking. It's like it's the most human scene in the entire film. Is when she's talking about her pocket. I'm just saying the broader scene.
About pockets. Yeah. There's that, and when they're drinking, sitting there at the picnic table drinking together, that was another really big human scene. And I mean,
well, I can't tie those together. I know it's a switch, but it all sort of connects.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good film. It was a really good movie. I think they did a great job. I liked what I did like about it was the low key sort of spy thriller feel to it.
I like what you did there. I like.
The Loki thing. Yeah. Speaking of which, the final episode of season 1 of Loki. Because now we're waiting on season 2,
and we were given it. We're going to be given a season 2. Yeah, they've already confirmed it.
Sweet crap! I hate the fact that I'm waiting on a season.
So let me say this: I
stopped watching normal TV as a result of that, and then I started watching Netflix to combat this crap. And I know we're getting back to the point where. And I still argue for this. I still argue for the fact that I do like an episodic release. I do like that. I like when it's one a week and you can watch it each week because it gives you something to look forward to. And I mean, it's something for us as a instant available, downloaded, ready to go, immediate. I want it when I want it. I get it now type of culture, type of society. Now that's how we live, except for this 1990s interconnection that I'm dealing with here. It is nice to kind of give you that sense of, the sense of the 90s, that throwback to an older feeling, to a different time when you can go, I get to look forward to this. I get to share this with my family, right? Because I mean, I know people who, this is what they look forward to with their daughter to watch on, on Wednesdays together over dinner and that kind of stuff, or after dinner, or whatever the case may be. So I do love the fact that they are episodic, but I'm pissed at how good this is. I'm upset because this has been such a good series, and now I have to wait a year, and I'm not happy about it.
I
want to drink.
Are you sure that's the reason why you want to drink, or is
I said it makes me? I didn't say it was the reason. I said it makes.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well played, sir. So I have to admit, I was half right with my prediction, but half wrong with my prediction. I predicted that it would be well, hold on, because this is where because I'm coming to a mea culpa here. They did end up doing a He Who Remains.
A mea culpa, really?
Yeah, it is. Hold on.
Ray would not know what that means.
He never knows what anything means.
Sorry, keep going.
So they did a version of He Who Remains, and it wasn't the traditional He Who Remains character. So I was on point with that. But I thought it was going to be Loki because I'm like, there's no way they're going to go so hard as to give us Kang.
Yeah, I heard you say that on the last episode when you were like, it's definitely not Kang. But yeah, you said it. Listen, you weren't right because you said there's no way they're going to give us Kang, and then you did say
I'm wrong. I was wrong on that.
You did say unless they've kept it a secret this long, and I don't see I don't see them having pulled that off.
Yep.
Like
I said, I was wrong there. Marvel instead of giving us what they usually do, where it's like they leave it open ended kind of a thing, so someone can do something else. They went all in on this one. And
Don, I'll be happy to have somebody pour my drinks for me while we do this. We'll make that a 2-hour show.
We won't be sober by the end of it.
I'm never sober by the end of these anyways. It's just going to make it more interesting. So
exactly.
Actually, that's not true. I'm relatively sober by the end of most of these, so it's fine.
Yeah, your BAC is well within tolerance.
It is. It's usually fine. Yeah. It's not like I'm going anywhere. I just got to go downstairs and do chores. So.
Yep. Power tools. But yeah, no, so that was like that's what blew my mind was I'm like, there's just no way it's going to be some version of Loki or something. I did not think they were going to go so hard. I knew they had already had Kang cast, like to Ken's point. I knew they had him cast for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
But I didn't think they were going to have the balls to do that, to be like, we're going to give you Kang up front.
Right.
But so I'm to a point. I think I now get what they were doing. Like, why didn't we get the full multiverse with WandaVision? Why didn't we get the multiverse all the way back with Spider-Man, Far From Home, which I thought was brilliant the way they did that. They have been building this story so that people can get used to this idea of the multiverse. What does it mean? How does it work? Because when you've got he's not even technically Kang, it's Nathan Richards. When you got Nathan Richards sitting there explaining how this works. Right?
So hold on. So okay. Mm-hmm. I'm actually let's just go back to the Kang Conqueror piece.
Yeah.
What a great casting choice.
Yes. Excellent.
For Kang.
Yes.
I just like I've seen Jonathan Majors in snippets of things. Yeah. I haven't watched what is it called? Lovecraft Country.
I think so. Yeah.
Which is what he's on. I haven't watched that yet, but I mean, I'm out of my depth at this point with a lot of the Marvel universe, right?
Right.
Up through Endgame, I was on board, right? I knew most of everything that was happening. I remember the storylines, remember a lot of that stuff. I'm there. But we're at this point where we're moving on to Kang and this whole Conqueror bit, and that was a storyline and a arc I never followed. So, and the Loki story itself was, just outside of things and the TVA and all that shit. Like we're way beyond my knowledge at this point. So this has been, from this, I feel like an outsider and it's been really fun to watch as an outsider. As a fan of the comics, as a fan of Marvel, getting to see something that I've never known previously. I think they're doing a really good job of it up to this point.
Oh, I agree.
And then having, Jonathan Majors seeing him play this character that I know nothing about, right? A bit like I know a bit about Kang, and he explains himself, right, in that whole episode, and I was like, okay, I get it. I understand this. I know what you're talking about. But I mean, actually knowing the arc, knowing the full background, knowing of it, no idea. But his acting in this one, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, just damn. You know what I mean? It felt dude, he did such a good job. Like, I don't know how Kang is in the comics. I don't know how he's portrayed as far as like his persona.
Right.
But I do know that watching that episode and seeing him, like, it was almost Joker-esque in the way he had this madness kind of like going on in his head. Like, you could see him flip-flop from one extreme in emotion to another, but it was so subtle in its extremity. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, it does. In fact, you're going where I want to go with this conversation.
You go ahead. Elaborate. Tell me your thoughts. Go ahead. Go.
So, because what they were hinting at as soon as they get to that mansion at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Before we get to Kang from the comics and all that, like, you see even in the design of the building, everything is pieced together, right? That's what the gold is supposed to. It's called kintsugi, I think. It's this Japanese thing of fixing broken things with gold to make them stronger and to make them their own art piece. What he's done is, and that's why I think that this ending was brilliant, because it takes people who are unfamiliar with Marvel, who are unfamiliar with the idea of the multiverse and Kang and time travel and all this weird stuff. And this whole TVA Loki story has gotten people to the point where they can understand what's happening. Right, with the explosion of the multiverse, why they didn't do What If before now, like, it's all sort of tying together, right? And explaining this idea that what he has done is that he removed the multiverse and then put together his own universe and his own timeline by piecing together the things, sort of like what Marvel has done, right? Marvel's own timeline, if you look at it, it's like they took stuff from the main line and stuff from the Ultimate Universe and stuff from these other storylines, and they put them together as the one story. It's a metaphor for how the entire universe is even already functioned.
You and your metaphors, man.
Yep. So by the time we get to him,
you're going deep, Jason. You're going deep, sir.
Yes. I'm gonna avoid the joke. So anyway, so when we get to him, we see this kintsugi thing. Like, that's who he is.
Hold on, Kim. Yeah. Yes, quirky villains hit a way different spot, and it's a good spot to hit. Let me tell you what. Go ahead, Jason.
Yes, I would agree. And what I will say is this: I think the extremes in his personality is coming from the fact that his own timeline is ultimately pieced together from other things. He's not just the one person fundamentally. Because what the whole multiverse, that's the whole point that Loki was talking about at the end, when he's like, hey, there's a guy coming, there's going to be 100 variants of him. In the comic books, Kang basically has multiple forms, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, there's never just one Kang. There's an army of Kangs, because they all have these different timelines they come from. They all have different designs, different personalities, because he's sort of this ultimate villain, because you never really beat him, but sometimes he can be your friend, because it's like, well, look, if you die or this event happens, I can't live, so I'm coming to stop this. But there's a lot of
he's self-serving. He's self-serving, but he's that whole. He's almost omnipotent in a way, because you can never defeat him, because there's always another version, because of the multiverse.
Correct.
And because of his character, because of the fact that his character, his scientist, which is like what you said, because in theory, he's supposed to be the child or descendant of Reed Richards, right?
Yeah, he's a descendant of Reed Richards.
He's a descendant of Reed Richards.
Yeah, he's actually named after Reed Richards' father.
Right. And so I mean, so he finds this break in the ability to transverse the timelines, right, and travel through everything, gets this whole multiverse, and he finds this whole thing and discovers it all. And so therefore, every single one of his other variants, to pull from this Loki thing, does the same. And, some of them are really bad, some of them are really good. I'm thrilled to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
Because you said it, I think you said it yourself. They created this interesting villain that you can really never defeat, because he can always pop back up in another form.
Yeah, there's another timeline that ties into yours somehow, because he's from the far future. It doesn't matter. all those timelines, like even if you were doing this thing where all the other timelines were disappearing, because it's always in the future, there's always an infinite number of possibilities. So there's always an infinite number of Kang. Right. And to Kim's question, is there a good? Yeah, there have. So there's as of now, yeah, there are good Kang, and one of them is called Immortus. Like that's the whole thing. Like there was this other character called Immortus, and the way they have Nathaniel Richards dressing in this show does sort of harken back to Immortus, right? And I'm unfamiliar with the actor, but I think the reason they went with this actor is because he's going to be able to do different versions of Kang, right? Completely different.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for.
Because Kang is a hard ass. Like Kang, straight up, he's a hard ass. Immortus is sort of this wise, all-knowing mentor, sort of ancient one kind of concept. But then you've got people like Iron Lad. Like when he was younger, he was Iron Lad, and he did fight with the Young Avengers. So I would be impressed if they did that, where they have Iron Lad show up for Young Avengers, because he's a version of Kang too.
Have they even talked about doing Young Avengers?
Yeah. Really? So here, we know there's going to be Thunderbolts. We know there's going to be a Young Avengers.
I see. Kim's comment with the Thunderbolts down there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, like I said, I'm unfamiliar with the actor, but I think the reason, like the way he was doing his, like you said, the switching of the emotions, I think they wanted someone who had the range to do Kang a number of different ways. And they've even admitted that basically Avengers 4 is them facing Kang the Conqueror.
So one other piece of interesting, like, that, I don't know what everybody watches as far as Facebook goes, but I mean, I've subscribed to a lot of I think we probably all look at the same crap. There's IGN, there's Looper, there's all these other random things. And I don't remember which one did it, but there was this really good, like top to bottom comparison, right? Where it was like, here's the top, here's the bottom. And it was like, the top was WandaVision. Yeah. And the bottom was Loki.
Yeah.
And they do this comparison where they say, the idea behind the video that you're watching is WandaVision, when she becomes Scarlet Witch, is the moment in Loki where Kang says we've crossed the threshold.
Really?
And if you watch the two of them together, and it could be edited, who the F knows, right? I don't know.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But I watched it and I was like, that's really interesting. And so basically the moment it starts, like the scene starts with Kang doing that thing where he's looking from side to side going, oh, and you see him like, that internal moment where he's like, we've crossed the threshold. That whole lead up to that starts with him. He stops talking and he starts doing his little like listening kind of thing where he's just somewhere else. And at the same time above it, that's the moment you see, Wanda drawing all the power out of Agatha Harkness.
Oh,
and it goes
really?
through Wanda drawing everything out of Agatha Harkness and Harkness falling and Wanda getting the bright red eyes and becoming, becoming Scarlet Witch. And the moment she like kind of goes like that, below you go Kang, you see Kang say, we've just crossed the threshold.
Yeah.
And it was really neat. Like, I don't know if that's really true. I just found it was so interesting to see the two of them put together.
Right.
And I mean, it's a really, really, really deep dive into whether or not that's accurate. But if it is true, and if Marvel did that, and if it lines up properly, sort of like, Dark Side of the Moon and the freaking Wizard of Oz, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah. You gotta give them credit for that, because that's badass that they pulled that off.
Yeah, and no, exactly, Kim. I mean, there's so much interesting, like, it's easy to correlate the two. It's so easy to correlate the two. When I saw that, it really got my brain going. I was like, oh shit, that's possible. Like, that's really, really possible. Especially given the fact that we know this now leads us into that multiverse of madness thing. I mean, it's obvious, right? Yeah. Everything's branching, everything's going out of whack, everything's crazy. Spoilers. Yeah. I love the fact that Loki ends up in what could be the same time stream that he was in, but as a result of his actions, he was deleted from it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that he shows up and Mobius is like, who are you? You know, and you can see this actual Kang statue.
Yeah.
I don't think he's probably in the same timeline. I think he's somewhere else. I think he's actually he got booped back to a different one. But you know, Sylvie's Choice at the end. Sylvie's Choice. Is that a book? Anyways,
it was a movie, but it was
a movie. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was Sophie's Choice.
Sophie's Choice, yeah.
Sophie's Choice. Sylvie's Choice. So Sylvie's Choice, as it will be called from now on, to kill that Kang variant. I mean, the repercussions, man. There's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. There's so much. I mean, I wholly see and believe and feel this What If series is based off of this. You know what I mean? That's the reason for it. It explains all these breaks. We're gonna see. Marvel has done such a good thing right now. They've freed themselves from having to make each and every single thing meet up.
Right.
Going down the line.
Well, if they're smart, they carry this, like you said, to Kang and in Avengers 4. And then when they're done with that, they reset sort of like everything and say, here's sort of our new status quo. We've brought back S.H.I.E.L.D. We have a new Captain America, new Iron Man. Like here's your movies. And we're going to just tell stories. It's sort of like what we had been saying DC should have done all along. Instead of trying to recreate the MCU, just tell all your stories.
That's exactly where I was going with it, is the fact that, you know, it's like, you know, what's going to happen is we're going to see them no longer have to worry about all that continuity. It's just straight up, okay, we can do whatever we want now. And we can just make stories. We can do, you know, like these one-off stories where it was a run of like 6 comic books.
Yeah.
If you want to go tell that story, tell that story. Use whatever Captain America you want. Use whatever Iron Man you well. I mean, I know what I'm saying, but it's still like Robert Downey Jr. is always Iron Man. Right. Chris Evans is always Captain America. Another meme I saw, it was some news channel and they were interviewing Chris Evans, and it said on the bottom, like where I've got my little internet connection here, you know, where it says Cincinnati's internet connection, it said Chris Evans, and underneath it, in parentheses, in quotation marks, it didn't say actor. It didn't say actor. It said Chris Evans, Captain America. And I love that. I was just like, wow. Even the news anchors were like, that's Captain America. It was so funny to see that, is that he's really, you know, you know what?
That's the rumor.
You know what?
They're bringing back for Ironheart.
You know what, Kim? That would be really cool for him to do that. I would really like to. You know what? And it's really easy for him to do. It's just voice acting. He doesn't have to do a bunch of other crap. He comes in. He spends 4 hours in a booth yelling lines and just doing whatever he wants for a while, and then he's done. That would be fantastic. I would love to see that. Absolutely love to see that.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
One last thing. We are definitely over our hour, so let me just finish this up. The official Dune trailer.
Yes.
The official Dune trailer came out. I know that I always rant and rave about stop fucking with my childhood, right? Yeah. I do still stand by that pretty firmly. This is one of those things that I think was acceptable to come back and redo, given the director and the script associated with the redo, similar to the sequel for Blade Runner. Denis did a phenomenal job with that movie. I don't see any reason he wouldn't do the same here with Dune and give it more it just deserves. The original Dune will always hold a place in my heart for being as amazing as it was, but I am really looking forward to this new one. The cast of characters, I mean, the actors who are playing them is there's just so much going on here.
And and it's supposed to be a like this isn't supposed to let me rephrase this. I think this isn't supposed to be one and done. If I were like two or three. Okay,
there's two. This is a two-parter. So there's
okay.
part one, part two. That's a given. I don't know anything past that, but I do know that it's part one, it's part one, part two.
Brilliant. All for it because that's a huge story that Frank Herbert wrote.
It's massive. Oh, it's massive. Yeah. The Dune series is massive. I mean, I didn't get through all the books. I actually got mentally exhausted reading those books because there's so much going on there. I will say this to me has that feeling of like, oh, what would I put it? This feels like Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
This has like such an epic
grandeur to it.
Lawrence
of Arabia sort of.
Yes, exactly.
Old-time film, yeah.
This has a feeling, even for that sake, Gladiator did the same.
Yeah.
Like Ridley Scott with Gladiator was so amazing. Like that it's got that type of, just the trailers alone, man, the gravity, the weight of the story. I mean, it's conveyed, and it looks phenomenal. I'm so glad they released this trailer. Everybody looks great. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to drag my wife to the theater to see it. She's going to hate me because she's going to be like asleep halfway through it, probably, maybe. I don't know. She does like the books, or at least her brother does. I think she likes the books. I can't remember which. I know her brother read them all, and I know she had something to do with part of that as well. And she likes I think she likes the old story, but yeah, for sure. I think I'm not sure she's going to like Denis' story, because like even fans of Blade Runner, when they went and saw 2049, they fell asleep.
Yeah.
Some hardcore diehard fans fell asleep in the theater because it is it's not an action movie.
It's a slow, long. Yeah. That threw me off. It's a different type of pacing, a different type of storytelling, and that's sort of the problem. Is I think we've all got this. It goes back to the whole people who were complaining about WandaVision and the way they were telling the story. I'm like, guys, have you forgotten how to watch television? Have you forgotten how to be patient and let a story grow? And that's the whole point. You let them tell the story. Not everything has to be microwave popcorn. You can have a 7-course meal, or you can, it's sort of the metaphor. You can let things be what they are and appreciate them for what they are. But I'm right there with you. Like I love the original film, but like when you compare that film with the book, they're
vastly different.
But they are different. They
are vastly different.
Yeah.
They're vastly different. Even the characters.
Oh yeah.
The way the characters react to each other, the way they're portrayed, it's very, very different. So
it's almost as different as Starship Troopers, the film, versus the book.
Oh, it's exactly. No, I wouldn't say almost. I'd say it's like exactly the same. Yeah. No, the difference is almost exactly the same.
So that's why I'm looking forward to this one. It looks like it's going to really pull more from the book.
I think Kim nailed it. It's a slow burn, and I do enjoy that. I think our generation's probably one of the last generations that does enjoy that slow burn. I mean, not the slow burn, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're on that point where we enjoy this, and I think this is definitely a movie for our generation. But I would love to see it transpose. I would love to see it move into its own generations and see people of this generation really appreciate it. And you know what? At worst, it's going to be one of those, it's going to be an art piece, right?
Yeah.
Where the people who really appreciate it now,
and
then 15, 20 years from now, it's going to be, oh, do you remember the classic Dune?
Yeah.
From Denis Villeneuve or Villeneuve, whatever. I'm sorry, Denis.
I don't know.
I can pronounce your first name, Denis. I haven't nailed the second. I haven't nailed your last name yet. I haven't nailed that familial name yet. But
you haven't nailed him yet.
I haven't nailed Denis yet, but hopefully one day we'll be there. We'll be there. Yep. Get that.
No, I'm right there with you. I agree. I agree with your. I agree completely with your review of the trailer. Nothing I don't disagree with.
Well, that's interesting. I think that's a good wrap. This has been quite the agreeable episode, then, Jason. We haven't had Raymond Perez here to cock up the works. Ray, don't miss you, bud. Hope you're having a great day.
Remember, watch out for your cornhole.
Watch out for your cornhole. Watch out for your cornhole. Jason,
but it'll be fine.
Would you please, sir, give us a proper sign off?
I shall. Well, thank you for putting up with this, whatever this was. We really have no words for it, but thank you for doing that anyway. If you'd like to contact us between now and our next show, you can email us at vagabondnerds@gmail.com. ANX. But we do recommend, no matter what happens, that you go pay Jeremy a visit, either online or in person, and spend your money with him. He's a good guy. He's got all your geeky accoutrement, and he deserves all your money for that.
He deserves your money.
Just throw it at that. And if nothing else, throw him a quarter for just putting up with us. I mean, he puts up with us. There's just no reason not to at least compensate this poor man for his suffering, his very long endured suffering. But on that note, we will catch y'all in 2 weeks. I'm certain there'll be plenty of fun things to have happened. And there's something that we didn't get a chance to talk about today, but we'll talk about it next week. I posted a meme. I posted a meme to our thing. I think it's an entire conversation to have. Probably it'll go 3 or 4 hours with its depth and complexity.
Nobody wants to listen to us for 3 or 4 hours. Not all at once.
Not all at once. Like, this may be a multi-episode conversation that we need to have. But until then,
we'll see.
Everyone else, y'all have a great day, and enjoy your life a little bit. Be kind to yourself and others, and just recognize that.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other. All right, catch y'all in 2 weeks.